Yoweri Museveni in Uganda. This repression has been enabled by cocktails of tools, not least the colonial policy. The lightning rod of popular anger has been the abduction, torture, continued detention of Edward Sibufu, aka Edwi Mutwe, who leads National Unity Platform, NUP, political party, VIP, security detail, and his bodyguard to Honorable Kyagulanyi Sentuma, days after abducted and held incommunicado. General Kinyaruga uploaded a picture of a hanged looking and injured Sebufu with an dictionary caption taunting his captive. He remains in prison despite mandatory legal provision that stipulates his mandate release on account of the due process violation visited on him. This is the fate of Dr. Comrades Kiza Besije, Obed Lutale, and dozens of more who have been held for in coordinating period of time at the behest of an overbearing executive, complicit legislature, over this year's military and coward judiciary.
Good morning. I am Perpetua Karaoke from the Kongamano la Mapinduzi. Additional to this trend of the emergence of cooperation amongst East Africa hybrid regimes and the spread of cross-border repression featuring abduction, torture, and extrajudicial killings, a multiple of international human rights and bilateral agreement under the United Nations, among other bodies, are being blatantly neglected with complete failure by the accountability mechanism. Although host to more than 3,000 refugees protected under the regional and global law, Kenya has aided foreign governments with surveillance, intelligence, abduction, and deportation, threatening the lives of opposition figures such as Kiza Besigye and 36 members of party who were arrested in Kisumu and handed over to the Ugandan government. The lives of political refugees from Rwanda, Nigeria, Turkey, Tanzania, among other countries, have also put in danger by the government of Kenya. East Africans seeking political asylum and refugees from anywhere else in Kenya are no longer safe. The Kenya government is now actively hunting them down, assisting in their detention and extraditing them to their oppression masters. In 2024, Kenya's recorded extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance skyrocketed in response to the peaceful protest, demanding good governance and rejecting the punitive financial bill. Echoes of Moi Kibaki's era, characterized by similar brutality, oppressive and violent tactics against government, critiques the opposition influence Ruto's terroristic tactics today. Until terrorism is defined as the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims, Suluhu, Museveni, Ruto, and their accomplices are the living definition of terrorists. Also, sometimes referred to the president. Missing Voices Coalition, composed of 16 oversight bodies, documented 159 cases of missing and murdered people. The 103 people, due to the police-related killings, and 35%, this is 56 people, attributed to the enforced disappearance, with a recorded 32 cases in the month of June alone. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights records
Senegal and Mali. I am an ambassador to Africans Rising for Justice, Peace and Dignity, the board chair of Trust Africa Foundation. I'm a writer, a storyteller, a mother. On behalf of all the organizations and movements that I represent here, including feminist movement from across the continent. I would like to speak on behalf of Boniface Mwangi, Agatha, and countless other political prisoners, some now dead, others missing or alive, but unaccounted for. I stand here in solidarity with the people's Dunia to issue resounding demands. We express first our profound sadness and our anger, our shame of not being able to protect our members, our brothers and sisters in the hand of the Tanzanian torturers, police, and government. We demand justice. We demand reparation. We demand healing from the president of Tanzania whose name was used during torture. We demand that she does what it takes so that the police officers in Tanzania, the people who tortured our sister and brothers, will not be able in the future to take the liberty to torture and kill any African citizen. We demand from the government of Kenya and Uganda that they are courageous and take the simple duty of protecting their citizen, a child of Kenya, a child of Uganda was abused, was tortured. It is their duty to do what it takes. We ask all of the institutions, EAC, SADC, AU particularly, as Pan-Africanists, we call on the AU, the UN that our governments are members of, to show that they exist for something. This is the time for them to prove to our citizens what they are for. We are grateful for the lives of our sisters and brothers because they could have been dead. The violence that as African citizens we receive every day from colonial powers are only possible and empowered by our own government. The way they treat us, the way they do not protect us, is what allows for external powers to exploit us and treat us bad. It is time that we have a leadership that cares about us. We profess here that every person associated with this heinous crime on our sister and our brother will not, anybody associated will not rest, because we will not rest until justice is seen.
My name is Will Mutunga, and I was Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya 2011 to 2016, and I'm very happy to be part of this press conference. I'm reading the last bit of it. So the East African community, SADC, AU, and the international community, your inaction is deafening. Join the citizens of Jumuiya, which is the East African community, in demanding: 1. Immediate international sanctions against President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, William Samoei Ruto, and General Muhoozi Kainerugaba for continued atrocities against the people of East Africa. Activate all human rights monitoring mechanisms and launch inquests into forced disappearances and procedural arrests, illegal detentions, and torture across Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. 3. Deploy diplomatic observers to attend court proceedings involving opposition leaders and activists to ensure judicial accountability in these nations. 4. Review bilateral assistance programs, making human rights compliance a strict condition. 5. Invoke all applicable international human rights mechanisms, including the UN special procedures and regional human rights bodies. 6. Mount pressure on Tanzania to ratify the United Nations Convention Against Torture. 7. President Museveni halt the enforcement of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025 that will subject civilians to trial in military courts. President Ruto's administration immediately prosecute all identified individuals responsible for the abduction, murder, and disappearances of youth since June 2024. President Ruto and the Parliament of Kenya heed the cries of Kenyans and allow public participation on the 2025 Finance Bill. Release Rose Jerry now and condemn the harassment of young people exercising their civic duty. President Suluhu and Museveni release opposition leaders Tundu Lissu and Kizza Besigye, along with all political prisoners illegally detained and on fabricated charges. We look to the East African Community, SADC, East African Court of Justice, the International Commission of Juries, Foreign Embassies in East Africa, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to act decisively. The time for silence is over. Stand with the people of East Africa against tyranny and impunity. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to a close for today. I believe everyone has taken my contact who needs it, and I'll be sharing the Google Drive with Boniface's statement, this statement, some photos, as well as some other data. So thank you so much for your time.